All right, well, thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. McConnell, you may proceed.
Chris Czaplak. He's in the witness room.
Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat.
Would you state your name, please?
Chris Czaplak,
Would you spell your last name, please?
Czaplak,
Where do you live?
San Diego, California.
Did you travel here from San Diego to testify in this case?
I did.
When did you get here?
Yesterday evening,
Where do you live in California?
San Diego.
In your current employment?
I have my own law firm,
What's the name of that?
Homefront Group.
And what kind of cases does your firm handle?
We focus primarily on VA disability claims and appeals.
Are you yourself an attorney?
I am.
When and where did you get your law degree?
I graduated from American University's Washington College of Law in 2009.
Have you served in the United States Navy?
I have.
For how long?
20 years.
And what was your position in the Navy?
I originally started out as a submarine officer, spent 6 years in that community. An opportunity to go to law school on active duty came up, attended American University, and spent the rest of my career as a Judge Advocate General, well, in the Judge Advocate General's Corps.
Where did you attend college?
The United States Naval Academy,
How long did you go to the Naval Academy?
4 years.
And from the Naval Academy, where did you go in the Navy?
After graduating from the academy, I went through the Navy's nuclear training pipeline, started off in Charleston, South Carolina, went to Saratoga Springs, New York, and then Groton, Connecticut, before reporting to my first submarine in Pearl Harbor.
Do you know the defendant in this case, Nicholas Kassotis?
I do.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
I do. He's sitting at the defendant's table.
How do you know him?
I met Nick in 2009 when I reported to Norfolk, Virginia for my first assignment as a JAG.
And what was his position in the Navy?
He was also a JAG. He was assigned as a defense counsel in Norfolk. We were at the Navy Legal Service Office. I started off very briefly doing legal assistance and then moved over to working defense with a number of JAGs, Nick included.
What was your relationship to him?
We were colleagues, we were friends. We got along very well when we met in Norfolk. I don't recall trying a case with him in Norfolk, but we collaborated often. We discussed our own cases, discussed strategy, discussed approaches to witness and evidence.
Did you have occasion to go to Italy?
I did. After my tour in Norfolk, I took what's called a hot fill billet, short notice emergency opening for the Senior Defense Counsel. So I was in charge of the defense attorneys that covered Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, and my home base was Naples, Italy.
Did you have occasion to practice law involving the defendant while you were in Italy?
I did. So Nick, around that time, also transferred to Italy. He was stationed in Sigonella, Sicily. He was on the government side, so he prosecuted cases in that area. He also worked with advising the base commander.
Roughly from when to when were you in Italy?
2011 to 2013.
And was the defendant in Italy during that same time period?
We overlap for most of that, yes.
I'm showing you now what's been previously admitted, State's Exhibit number 2.32. Do you recognize the person that's shown in this photograph?
I do. That's Mindi Kassotis.
Now, how did you know her?
I met her around 2016. I had learned that Nick had remarried, and Mindy was his new wife. We met in DC in 2016, and then had the occasion to interact at least one more time after that. I believe we had dinner in Norfolk. I was able to have dinner with them when they were visiting.
At some point, did your and the defendant's career paths diverge?
Yes. We had a couple conversations, Nick and I, about what he wanted to do. He had debated whether to leave active duty or not. This is a typical conversation that everybody on active duty has at some point. We debated the pros and cons. He decided he wanted to follow a path that required him to get off active duty. So he left the Navy after spending some time in DC. I continued on active duty. My payback for going to law school was significant, so I wasn't going to be eligible to even resign before I had 15 years in. And at that point, I might as well do the other 5 and get to 20.
At some point, did you lose contact with him?
Yes. The last time I saw Nicholas and Mindy was in Norfolk sometime between 2016 and 2018. I left Norfolk in 2018 for San Diego, and I had stayed in touch. My wife and I had stayed in touch with both of them, and my first indication that that we had lost contact was when a Christmas card was returned that the address was invalid.
That would have been on or about what year?
Probably 2018, 2019 timeframe. It was after I was in San Diego.
At some point after that, did he reconnect?
Yeah, it was sometime later, but I hadn't heard from him in years. And then around July of 2022, he reached out to me with a new email address. When the Christmas card had bounced back, I emailed him and I tried to call him, but the email address was no longer valid and the phone number was disconnected. So July 2022 was that was the first time I had heard from him, and it was from a new email. We exchanged some messages, found a time to set up a call. He provided me with a new phone number, and we had a call to catch up that month.
And during that conversation, was there any discussion by him about a name change?
Yes. He had, so one of the topics was why I hadn't heard from him in so long. And he explained that he and Mindy were changing their names, were getting new social security numbers, were getting new passports and driver's license. He explained the reason behind that was that he had learned that the family he thought that he was the biological child of, he wasn't. He explained that who he thought were his biological parents and brother had been filing false complaints to the 2 bars that he belonged to, Virginia and Massachusetts. He was getting alerts on his credit history that people were opening accounts in his name, and learned later that who he thought was his family was behind that. So to avoid all of that, he and Mindy had cut off all communication and started changing their identity.
Did he describe Mindy's condition?
He did. In July, in that July 2022 conversation, he said that Mindy was pregnant and that they knew that the gender was a girl. And I was very excited for him. That was another big topic of that phone call. It was, I was happy for him. I thought that was great.
Was there any conversation about him writing short stories?
Yes. He also, as we were catching up, he told me how he had started creative writing as a hobby, and that had turned into a pretty significant thing that he did. He wrote a number of short stories that he had published on the website Reddit, and one of them in particular had kind of garnered the interest of someone in Hollywood, and he might get that story optioned as a screenplay.
When was the next time you spoke with him?
So I didn't hear from him again until March of the next year, so 2023.
And tell the jury how that conversation went.
So he sent a connection request on LinkedIn, and I thought that was good news because I know that he had tried to keep a very low profile, and so I accepted it as soon as I saw it. I messaged him. He asked if I had time to catch up. We found a time on our schedules where we could do another phone call. And so sometime in early March, we connected again on the phone.
And what did he tell you during that phone conversation?
Early in the call, I asked him how Mindy was doing because I figured the baby must have been born at this point, and he mentioned that she had passed away. He explained that she had complications with the pregnancy, that she'd had high blood pressure and there had been some issues with her heart, that she had been hospitalized at least once, but that sometime before she could give birth, she passed away.
At any time, did you ever discuss with him the nature of his employment?
Yes. In that first call in July, natural question was, what have you been up to since you left the Navy? And he said he was involved in a startup that had something to do with cybersecurity, that they had some product or service that had access to the dark web to identify cybersecurity threats, and that he was filling like a general counsel role, sort of advising them on legal issues.
How did you learn about Mindy's death?
Well, the phone call where he said she died of natural causes was sort of the first time I heard that she died, but some weeks later, a mutual friend of ours forwarded me a news article about her disappearance, that her remains had been found, and that Nick was the primary suspect.
And based upon receiving that information, what did you do?
Well, so I felt that what he had told me in an earlier conversation was important information that the authorities should know. So I contacted the tip line that was in the news article. I spoke with an agent from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and recounted the phone conversations I'd had with Nick, tried to be as accurate as possible and as factual as possible.
Thank you. That's all the questions. Mr. Weinstein?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Doug Weinstein. I'm representing Nick Kassotis in this case. When Nick reached out to you in March of 2023 with a LinkedIn request, do you remember his LinkedIn profile?
I don't.
He reached out to you from a LinkedIn request under the name Nicholas Stark. Do you recall that?
Yes,
It was not Nick Kassotis, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Can the witness be excused?
Please.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Thank you.